And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Your perversion of his words and his mission when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work when he was a proud and unapologetic black man.
What's up, y'all, and welcome back to Django Uncensored. Today we will be talking about a interaction between a couple politicians that I genuinely enjoy. This is, I think, an example of something that Donald Trump wouldn't want y'all to see. These MAGA Republicans are trying to pass legislation in Congress as we speak that attacks, well, they say would attack DEI. Right, but once you actually look at the paperwork and what it actually attacks and what it actually aims to remove, it aims to remove Malcolm X from our education system. So these lady politicians rightfully call out these conservative politicians, but I'm gonna let y'all watch and enjoy.
Republicans have introduced a bill under the guise of ending discrimination, which actively and very obviously discriminates. Classic MAGA logic. House Democrats were having none of it.
This bill, titled the Dismantling DEI Act, is an utter disgrace. Having sat and read the text in preparation for today's markup, I have yet another example to tell my constituents about the unserious work of the Republican Party. Now, I'll work with anyone serious about progress who wants to center the people who call this country home. This isn't it. The Committee on Oversight has the broadest jurisdiction in the entire House of Representatives to investigate any topic it chooses, but we are debating legislation that denies the sky is blue, water is wet, and racism is real. The major provision of the bill says to ban anything that acknowledges racism, and a few pages later in the exact same bill, there are multiple provisions discussing the presence of racism. This Republican approach is as predictable as it is nonsensical.
And you heard it from the lady politician here, Ms. Presley. She basically explained the game that these Republican MAGA politicians are playing here. As Donald Trump is, playing the clown game, distracting everybody with these loud and bombastic, claims and what he wants to do nationally, MAGA is actually passing bills in Congress to affect everybody's lives on a smaller scale. So yeah, this is what they've been aiming to do. This is Project 2025 as live in 4K. So this is what y'all asked for.
On one hand, they're saying that racism does not exist. On the other hand, they are saying there is rampant reverse racism. Well, how do you reverse something that never existed in the first place? Riddle me that. While this Republican policy may have a new name, it's the same old tired game. Look, y'all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. Do you all know your history? Do you know American history? The original Constitution counted enslaved individuals as 3/5 of a person. During World War II, the federal government forcibly relocated and incarcerated 110,000 Japanese Americans. The FHA practiced redlining in the 1930s and 60s to deny mortgages to black Americans, which is why we have a racial wealth gap today. I could go on. The GI Bill, which is supposed to be race neutral, denied access to black Americans, denying them equal access to education and housing benefits, which is why we do not have generational wealth. Don't talk to me about merit when those black servicemen fought for our freedoms. And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Your perversion of his word and his mission when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work when he was a proud and unapologetic black man fighting for equality for black Americans and all marginalized people.
And this is another case of MAGA Republicans invoking a civil rights leader to try and make their fight seem more palatable. You get what I'm saying? So they're invoking MLK and Gandhi and all these different people just to play a game, a mental game. But it's okay. As long as we continue to elect people like Miss Presley into office to call these people out, bills like this won't get passed. You get what I'm saying? And you see the name right next to her. So if you keep electing these people into office, not only will we stop bills like this from getting passed, we can start passing our own bills with our own agendas attached to it. But I digress.
So you all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. But I'm not surprised that you would deny American history. What I am, though, is committed. Committed to speaking truth to power, committed to standing up for marginalized communities and vulnerable people, committed to ensuring that everyone has equal opportunity to buy a house, to work a job, to pursue higher education, and to live in a society that is fair and just. A colleague across the aisle invoked the phrase of, we must do everything to stop government-sponsored oppression. Well, I've just enumerated numerous examples, which is exactly why we have legislation and an executive order to reverse this harm. And that is why I'm committed to opposing this bill and urge my colleagues to do the same.
I appreciate my Democrat colleague for exemplifying exactly the kind of oppression of freedoms that we're referencing. How about we'll quote whoever we want to quote? How about that's my First Amendment right?
Oh, they just don't care. They just pretty much told this lady they can quote whoever they want to quote, and ain't nothing finna happen to them. And essentially that's true. They can get up on this pedestal that they have, the stage that they have currently, because people are not voting or people are not being educated in the political process. Guys like this get into office. Guys like Trump get into office because people are not educating themselves on who they're actually putting into office or by default letting into office. It's a tragedy. It really is.
That's exactly the kind of baked-in oppression. Like, how dare a white Republican quote Martin Luther King? We actually had a congressman say that just now in this committee. Thank you, good lady, for once again exemplifying the type of oppression that we stand against. You know,
that's not oppression. It's funny seeing a older white gentleman telling a couple of younger black ladies what oppression is. He's literally telling these ladies what oppression is. From his perspective, he wouldn't know what oppression was if it came and slapped him right in the face. Until he loses a job just because he's white, or he loses a job because of that country accent that he has, he doesn't know what oppression is. Until he gets treated any type of in a negative manner just because he exists, he doesn't know what oppression is. Period.
I'm right. You know I'm right.
Order. Mr. Higgins has the floor.
And we will quote who we please to quote.
This dude is.
And we will continue to speak freely because now I'm a veteran. That's the country that I serve. That's a constitution I swore to.
Yes, you can speak freely, but so can she. And she can call you out for invoking MLK's name. Just like you can invoke MLK's name. It's a two-way street. You can't just call foul just because you're receiving the fire back. That's being a snowflake.
Allegiance to, and that oath has no expiration date. I will fight for it with my last life's blood. For my right to speak freely and yours, good lady. You will never hear me saying, how dare you quote anybody you please to quote.
You just did.
And that exemplifies, America, precisely the type of institutional oppression that my colleague, Mr. Cloud's bill, for which I'm an original co-sponsor, hopes to push back against.
This man has no understanding of what institutional oppression is, but he's championing a bill trying to remove institutional oppression in the eyes of a white man. This means that they're removing anything that involves race from our educational systems. It means that they're removing any and every DEI program. Everything. They're doing it all. They call that oppression. Not losing jobs, losing wealth, losing business, losing people. This is insane.
But Mr. Higgins, have you read your own bill? Have you read your own bill? Because it is trying to regulate speech.
No, he hasn't read his own. He hasn't. This guy doesn't read anything. No, this guy doesn't read anything at all. He doesn't. You can tell.
Clay Higgins really is the poster child for the sorts of people who talk about reverse racism.
You consistently said over and over the word oppression, and every time that you said it, it was almost as if I was hearing nails on a chalkboard, because it seems like you don't understand the definition of oppression, and I'd ask you to just refer to Google to help you out. Oppression is the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. That is the definition of oppression. And so as I sit here as a Black woman who practiced civil rights, let me tell you, the reason that my colleagues wanted to make sure you understood the same Black history that your side of the aisle wants to delete out of classrooms is because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. We're not the same migrants that y'all constantly come up against. We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like, and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed.
Yeah, don't forget the fact that these are MAGA Republicans. This is the Republican side of the aisle doing stuff like this. This is the Republican side of the aisle saying things like this. You get what I'm saying? So don't let it escape you when you want to make comparisons between the Democratic or the Republican Party. One party is way worse, and it's obvious at this point.
That y'all are the ones that are being harmed. That's not the definition of oppression. You tell me the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment that you've had, and we can have a conversation.
You could start with Exodus.
The final thing that I will say.
This man just said Exodus. We're talking about oppression in the country of the United States. This dude went back to 2000 BC or whatever, whenever Exodus was. Like, this is who we have to deal with when making decisions for our country, for the future of our country. These are the people that we have to deal with. These are the people that the most intelligent, the brightest leaders that we put into office to go up here and make decisions for us and our representatives. These are the people that they're fighting. Or you're putting a guy like this guy into office.
On this particular issue, two things. There is an article from The Guardian, and it is a little old. It's from 2021. So I apologize. But it said that back then, just 3 years ago, white men represent 30% of the population, but 62% of office holders. These are the issues that we are constantly looking at and recognizing and trying to say, is this just? I can't even tell you how many white men have served in this chamber, but I can tell you that I am only the 55th Black woman to be elected to Congress. And so when you want to talk about history and pretend as if it was so long ago, it wasn't. Because again, I am just number 55. Finally, when we start to talk about what do these numbers do, as we're trying to say that diversity, equity, and inclusion is the problem, the reality is that when it comes to financial performance, companies with more diverse workforces are more likely to outperform their competitors. Companies in the top quartile for racial diversity are 35% more likely to outperform their peers on profitability. Companies with diverse executive teams are 25% more likely to generate greater profits. Diverse companies earn 2.5 times higher cash flow per employee. Diversity works.
Trust me, these numbers mean nothing to these Republicans, or MAGA Republicans as they call themselves nowadays. These numbers, statistics, receipts, facts, all that mean nothing to them at this point in the game. Like, they can come up and just have Elon Musk promote a post saying a complete lie, and that post will get more attention and more traction than believed to be true before your actual factual statement gets seen anywhere. And that's just the way things are right now. We have the richest guy, literally the richest guy on the planet, who owns the biggest megaphone on the planet, playing chess with the political games of the world. If you check his formerly known as Twitter account, he's playing games in England right now, promoting the conservative candidate in England right now. You get what I'm saying? He's playing a global game. He wants his hand in every pot. He's being very greedy, and it's obvious, and it's in front of everybody. But nobody's paying attention to this. He's pretty much made Trump his lapdog. He's very intelligent. I will give him that. But it's very dangerous letting this immigrant come into this country and literally be the shadow leader of this country. It's very scary. But I digress. Y'all elected this man in the office. Y'all knew the monster that he was. Y'all knew the danger that he imposed to this country. The information was free. So you can't say that, oh, I didn't know, or they kept it a secret or something like that. It was public information. Half of America was telling you this. Let's not pretend that this is not what y'all asked for. You get what I'm saying? So, but back to my original point, Republicans, MAGA, any of those people on that side of the aisle, they do not care about numbers, statistics, or facts. It's just simple. All they care about is what their cult leader said.
And until you can show me data that says otherwise, I think that we need to go back to being a country that listens to experts and gets out of our feelings and recognizes, again, that racism is real in this country. And until we stop pretending that it's not, we will not solve the problems that we are consistently facing, and that will bring real unity that we seek when we're looking for a more perfect union.
I really have a question for the sponsor.
But yeah, that's pretty much a basic rundown of what I wanted y'all to see. The rest of it is just basic political gesture. It's from another Democratic politician calling the same guy out, basically. I'll link the video below so y'all can watch it yourselves. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted y'all to see. These MAGA Republicans in Congress are passing bills and making attempts to change America as we know it. Change our education system as we know it. They're making moves, and you should pay attention now, definitely, because they're looking for small and minute ways to implement Project 2025. Pay attention and do whatever you can to fight back against this stuff. That's all I can tell you. At this point, MAGA has control of everything politically. The only thing we can do is just fight back as much as we can and try and convince the few Republicans that are reasonable. You get what I'm saying? So I'm wrapping this video up. Y'all have a good one, and hope to see y'all next time.